Well, the best way to save money on your cruise isn't from booking early, and it isn't from booking late. It is something that the vast majority of cruisers don't even know about. It is called the value stacking method, and most cruise lines hope you don't even figure it out.
And we've been on more than 30 cruises on many of the major cruise lines multiple times.
And we have certainly learned how to stretch our cruise dollar.
Yes.
So if you stack these 7 tips together, you will be amazed at just how far your retirement travel funds can go. If you've just stumbled upon our channel, I'm Heather, and this is Paul. We're taking retirement on the road, the rails, and the waves. Welcome to the Freedom Strategy.
Okay, so let's go through the 7 hacks, tips as other people like to call them, because literally this could save you thousands of dollars on a cruise.
Yeah, no question. So one of the things that a lot of people overlook is maximizing your onboard credit. Here are 3 ways that you can do that. One is that you can actually buy stock in the cruise company. Now, that sounds kind of weird, but if you buy 100 shares of the major cruise line's stock, you will actually get stockholder credit on every cruise you take. Now, it is usually $100. It could vary a little bit. And I will throw out a little caveat. If you get a heavily discounted cruise, or like we do in some cases, free cruises because of casino offers, they won't give that to you. But that's a pretty rare exception. Generally, they will give you $100 onboard credit just by owning the stock. And keep in mind, we've done this a lot.
Well, we own stock in Royal Caribbean. We own stock in Carnival. We own stock Norwegian, in NCL. Yeah. We wish we could own stock in MSC, but it's a private company.
Yeah. And so in addition to that onboard credit, we've actually made quite a bit of money on the stocks as the cruise industry keeps getting healthier and healthier. So honestly, just that alone is paid for lots of cruises. Now, another way to maximize your onboard credit is to book your cruise through premium travel credit cards. So we prefer Amex Platinum card. I know Chase card also does the same thing, the Sapphire cards. And if you book through them, depending on the room you book, you can get anywhere from $500 to $200 on board credit. And again, you can stack these together and it all adds up. Now, the last way to maximize onboard credit is to book your next cruise on the cruise ship you're on. And they often have deals and specials where you'll get extra onboard credit. We're actually going to talk more later about other benefits you get by booking your next cruise on board the ship. Right. So maximize onboard credit. Now, another way to really stretch your cruise dollar is flexibility, right?
Yeah, and flexibility comes in 2 different ways. Number one, and we are strong believers of this, is stay flexible with your cruise line. Don't necessarily get locked into one cruise line. We think they all provide different values. They have their strengths and their weaknesses. So if you're staying flexible and you're willing to go on Royal Caribbean or Norwegian or Carnival or MSC, each are going to run specific deals. And you just stay flexible so you can take advantage of a great deal that they may be running. And then the other flexibility is stay flexible with your dates. If you're retired, and it's something I really had to adjust to, I don't need to necessarily be on a fixed schedule anymore. Yeah. So stay flexible with your dates of when you can travel.
Of that, sorry to interrupt, but one thing that we have noticed over many, many years of cruising that we've done, the best deals seem to be between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Almost always those are heavily discounted. Now, the Thanksgiving cruises and the Christmas cruises are quite expensive, but if you thread that needle, you will save a ton of money on your cruises.
Yeah, and also along with that is traveling in the shoulder seasons of the cruise season. So there's a shoulder season to Caribbean cruises. There's a shoulder season to Alaskan cruises. There's a shoulder season to international cruises. So look to travel during those shoulder seasons. It may be a little bit cooler. It's going to be less crowded and it's going to be less expensive, and take advantage of that. We also cruise in the wintertime. We just did a cruise in Northern Europe during a very cold month and we got a great deal.
Yeah, it was fantastic. By the way, I'm pouring sweat because we are sitting here in Bali in the shoulder season, but it is a little hot and steamy in here. But speaking of that, we do travel nearly full time. We have a free PDF handout if you are at all interested in extensive retirement travel. It is the top 10 retirement travel tips. The link to it is below. So just click the link. It'll go straight to your inbox.
Yeah. So stay flexible with your travel. You can save a ton of money.
All right. So as you're traveling in retirement and taking cruises, one thing to consider is how to get the best deals for your add-ons. By that, I mean things like the spa, excursions, and drink packages. So why don't you talk about the drinks?
Yeah, let's talk about the drink package because that's typically the most expensive of all the add-ons, unless you do a bunch of excursions. We'll talk about those too. But the drink package, we've done multiple calculations on when we want to purchase a drink package or when we don't want to purchase the drink package. So roughly speaking, it equals about 5 drinks a day across the line on the different cruise ships.
Right.
So now also keep in mind, those drinks can include
That
wine.
sounds like a lot. I know, like 5 drinks a day.
5 drinks sounds like a lot. But when you add in specialty coffees, which I like to have a cappuccino, maybe even 2 cappuccinos in the morning, that's 2 drinks.
Right.
We like to have a health drink out of the spa.
Yeah.
That's going to be one. Typically, it's going to be one of those drinks.
Right.
So now you're at 3. A
Wine
glass
with
of
dinner.
wine at dinner, you're at 4. A happy hour drink, you're at 5. Now you're at the point of a break even on a daily basis for the offsetting the cost of the drink package.
Yes.
If you don't do any of those that we just spoke of, don't get the drink package.
Right. It won't be
because
worth
it's just going to cost you more money. Now, there's a convenience factor with the drink package. So there's nuances to it, but generally speaking, across all the cruises that we do, if you're at the point of 5 drinks a day, coffees, health drinks, wine, beer, happy hour, 5.
That's kind of the
break-even point.
Right. Now, speaking of that, though, often cruise lines will have specials or deals before your cruise. I cannot emphasize enough, keep an eye out for all of these specials. And it's not just drink package, it's for drink package, it's for spa access or spa, massages, and for excursions. They will often offer, it usually is tied to some U.S. holiday, President's Day sale, 4th of July sale, Christmas, whatever it is. Look for those packages. They often can save you a bunch of money. They're 20% off, 25% off. I see them as high as 40% off. If you see the deals, book them because they are pretty much risk-free, and here's why. Let's say you see a special for 20% off the Wi-Fi package. And then a month later, keep looking because you might see it for 30% off. And here is a hack many people don't know about, and that is if you just did it for 20% off, just go into your website or your app or whatever and cancel it and buy it again at 30% off. We've never had that fail. Works every time and
we've
saves
used
us
that
a
many
ton
times.
of money.
Yeah.
Now, there are times you're not going to want to pre-buy and you're going to want to buy on board, and we'll talk about that in just a minute.
Yeah. Pro tip too, from an pre-purchasing the drink package, MSC, that's really important because we have found that if you don't pre-purchase the discounted drink package for MSC, when you go on board, it's not available and they can't add it.
No.
So you're going to pay the list price
total
for the drink
retail.
package, which is expensive.
It's pretty expensive
for MSC.
And one more aside about MSC. We love MSC. You probably know that. We have lots of videos about MSC. Their drinks are kind of small pours. Keep that in mind when you're analyzing how many drinks you're going to have because some of their drinks are pretty small. So when we're on MSC, we almost always buy the drink package.
We almost always do.
Right. So now that we've talked about how to pre-buy stuff, there are some things you might want to not pre-purchase because you can get deals as soon as you get on the ship. One of those things is specialty dining. Now, if you're interested in maybe the steakhouse or the seafood restaurant, almost every cruise line, if you get on the ship and on day 1, book a specialty dining restaurant that night number 1, they will heavily discount it. But it will usually be only for night 1 of the cruise. You'll save a lot of money doing it that way. Another thing is the spa or spa services. Almost always, in fact, always, I think, we've been able to negotiate a deal at the spa the day we get on the ship.
Or during port days, they may run specific specials for spa services. So that would be at that day, you'll go into the spa, they'll have a sign there that says, oh, here's a massage that we're doing for 50% off or 60% off, somewhere in that area. So,
so those are
don't
things,
necessarily pre-book those types of services.
Unless you see it at like 50% off. We do not pre-purchase thermal access or spa services. Now, another thing to keep in mind, there are certain cruise lines, Carnival's one, and I would say Royal Caribbean, they will also heavily incentivize you to buy the drink package on day one. So on day one, on Carnival, Royal Caribbean, you're going to be able to get the drink package for quite a steep discount. So keep that in mind when you're pre-purchasing at a discount. If you don't see it, I'd say that break even is about 20%. If you see it more than 20% pre-cruise, I would buy it. If you see it less than 20% pre-cruise, wait till you get on the cruise ship. Again, exception is MSC. They do not discount it once you're on the cruise ship.
Okay, and one more pro tip, and we just went through this multiple times, was often if you're pre-purchasing from a special, you're getting in US dollars. And if you're going on a European cruise, if you purchase on the ship, then you're going to be purchasing in euros. And if you're going out of the UK, it could be euros, but it also could be pounds. And the US dollar could be very weak, or you just want to make sure you understand where it is. So the US dollar is weak when we're making this video. So if anything that we purchased on board, we had to purchase either in euros or in pounds. So we didn't get the value out of our dollar.
We paid quite a premium for not understanding how that works before we went. So lesson learned, and hopefully you will learn it now before you actually purchase the things. Now, moving on to kind of our next hack that we like to talk about. A lot of people look at the premium rooms, like the Retreat or the Yacht Club, and depending on the cruise ship, it's called something different, and they are quite expensive. If you look at the good cruises and you know the most popular cruise times, they're way out of our budget.
Way out of our budget. We'd rather do 3 cruises than one cruise in those. It's almost that out of our budget.
However, if you look at the cruises, like we talked about, the cheaper cruise times, like in between Thanksgiving and Christmas, or other less popular times, those prices come down significantly. But here's the important thing to remember, because even then they still seem kind of expensive. If you're going to buy the drink package, and you're going to buy the premium Wi-Fi package, and you're going to buy the spa, which quite honestly, the thermal spa access, we really do pretty much every cruise do all 3 of those things. If you add all of those together, that it actually only ends up being a few $100s more. And you can go in the Retreat, the exclusive area of the cruise ship, or in the Yacht Club, which we haven't done, and we are going to do that soon, because it's only a few $100s more, and you get a highly premium experience.
You get that experience where typically it's for us, it would be out of our range, and we always have an eye out for that.
Right. So keep your eye out for that. And then the other way to potentially enjoy that experience is what's called bid to upgrade. So with the bid to upgrade, depending on availability on the cruise ship, if they have some rooms left over in these higher level rooms, they will send you an email and says you have the opportunity to bid for an upgrade. This is something we've used quite a bit successfully. Sometimes we haven't gotten our bid. We usually bid really low. So what they do is they'll say, okay, your current cruise room is an ocean view. You can bid to be in the Yacht Club, and you can start your bid at $500 or $600. They give you a minimum and then the maximum, which don't ever do the maximum. And then you just make your bid, and it'll tell you, is it a poor bid? Is it an average bid? Is it a high bid? We tend to leave our bids on very, very low levels. And I'd say not the lowest. We go slightly higher than the lowest. And I'd say 2/3 of the time we probably get our bid. So that could be a very good way to experience the Yacht Club or the premium categories.
Yeah, and more of the cruise lines are starting to do this now.
Yes.
And also there are opposite ways to save money on your room. So something we consider often is the balcony. Do we really want the balcony? How much time will we spend? There's a premium to get a room with a balcony on it. And is that premium worth it for the cruise that we're doing? We find ourselves more times than not rarely using the balcony. Maybe we're out there for 30 minutes on the entire cruise, maybe an hour, maybe a couple hours in total, on the entire cruise, it's just not worth the money to us. We're very happy in an ocean view room. We'll get a big window porthole. Sometimes I like the configuration of the ocean view rooms more.
Yeah, you tend to have a little bit more space. Now, and I will say, when we started cruising so many years ago, I always insisted on a balcony. I love the outdoors. I am a huge outdoor person. And I just thought, well, I have to have a balcony. I have to have a balcony. And then there were some times we just they were full and we couldn't do it. And then we started doing ocean view rooms and we realized it actually was pretty nice. The configuration was better. I still got that natural light that I needed. And we spend most of our time outside for sure.
And this one item, this can save hundreds of dollars on that specific cruise. It's going to save hundreds of dollars, if not into maybe $1,000 range.
Right. So it's a great way to save a lot of money and you still have a great experience. Now, we did also one time do an interior room, which obviously are by far the cheapest. I won't do that again. I'm sorry.
I would, but you just didn't like.
I need natural light. I do. But a lot of people like them because they can go in and take naps in the middle of the day and it's dark and quiet. So, not for me, but some people
And those rooms
really
can be very nice too.
Yes.
Can be spacious. They're not so rectangular. They can be a little more square, so they have more usable space.
Right.
They can be very nice rooms.
Yep. So again, if you just keep adding all these things together, you are going to save thousands of dollars on your cruises. The last category, like I mentioned earlier, is when I was talking about maximizing your onboard credit. One of the ways I said was to book your next cruise while you are currently on a cruise. There are many benefits to doing this way. The one I already talked about is getting the onboard credit. Another benefit is you're pretty much going to get the best deal that they have.
Yeah, they're going to match the online deals that are available at that moment, and then they're going to give you some additional perks that you're only going to get through doing it during the time of a cruise.
And some of those perks are you're going to get more flexibility. So your deposit you put down, number one, is usually far less money. Usually it's like $50 deposit, whereas if you do it online, you're going to pay several $100s for your deposit. Then that deposit is also far more flexible. So if you want to change your cruise, you can usually just change. If you can't go October 7th and you can go November 10th, you can choose, you can transfer that with no penalty. Sometimes you can even completely change which cruise it is with no penalty. So the flexibility is there. And then also, if you're a member of their loyalty program, you almost always get double the points for booking it on. And those loyalty points add up to a lot. We have lots of videos that talk about loyalty and cruises. So be sure to check those out.
Yeah, so if you're thinking about doing another cruise, spend some time with that group, whether it's a next cruise desk, whatever that particular cruise line calls it. Spend some time with them and see what deals are running and what credits and benefits you'll get by doing it on board.
There is a reason that there's usually a long wait to get in to the next cruise desk. There is a reason. It is worth doing. And we've done it many times. So hopefully these 7 hacks, you stack them all up, you will get enormous value and you will see it can stretch your retirement travel dollars a ton. So thank you for joining us on the Freedom Strategy, and we will see you next time.